All right, this is the pre-study for the Bible study number 4 in the series Love Made Manifest in First John. And we're in First John 3, 1 to 10. So I'm going to read that. It says, "See what kind of love the Father has given to us that we should be called children of God, and so we are. The reason why the world does not know us is that it did not know Him. Beloved, we are God's children now, and what we will be has not yet appeared. But we know that when he appears, we shall yet be like him, because we shall see him as he is. And everyone who thus hopes in him purifies himself as he is pure. Everyone who makes a practice of sinning also practices lawlessness. Sin is lawlessness. You know that he appeared in order to take away sins, and in him there is no sin. No one who abides in him keeps on sinning, and no one who keeps on sinning has either seen him or known him. Little children, let no one deceive you. Whoever practices righteousness is righteous, as he is righteous. Whoever makes the practice of sinning is of the devil, for the devil has been sinning from the beginning. The reason the Son of God appeared was to destroy the works of the devil. No one born of God makes the practice of sinning, for God's seed abides in him, and he cannot keep on sinning because he has been born of God. By this it is evident who are the children of God and who are the children of the devil. Whoever does not practice righteousness is not of God, nor is the one who does not love his brother." Okay, so first of all, in the entire book of First John, including this section, this chapter, the Antichrists or the Separatists is an important piece of background that John is kind of writing against them, warning the church against the people who are teaching heresy, that type of thing. So it's important to keep that in mind. And it appears that maybe the antichrists are without, or they're unconcerned with sin, or they claim to be without sin, even though they keep on sinning. So um, John, or the author, he'll continue to argue that they continue to sin because they're from the devil and they're not from God. So that's basically what's going on here. He's saying, if you are from the devil, then you're going to keep on sinning. If you're from God, you're not going to keep on sinning. See, and the implication is that these antichrists, they keep on sinning, so they must not be from God. So that's basically the argument here in chapter 3. So one of the important things I want to bring up is this question of who is responsible for sin. Obviously, in this passage, it's basically saying that the people who sin are responsible for sin, but it also brings in the devil into this. And it's kind of weird because we don't normally talk about the devil very much in modern, like, I mean, we in church and stuff like that, we generally don't say, "Oh, the devil did this, the devil made me do this, or the devil did this." But it does say here in verse 8, "Whoever makes a practice of sinning is of the devil, for the devil has been sinning from the beginning." The reason of the Son of God appeared was to destroy the works of the devil. So the devil is kind of like a real entity here for the author. But it's interesting because he doesn't put all the sin on the devil, but at the same time he says the person who sins is from the devil. So a lot of times when we sit or you hear people who talk about the devil or whatever, it's like, "Oh, the devil made me do it." It's contrasted with basically children of God versus children of the devil. So those two concepts are related to each other, and it's basically saying the people who sin are children of the devil in the same way that the people who love or do good are children of God. It's not that necessarily God forces you to love. It's that you've internalized God's values and you're close to Him and you know Him, and therefore love comes out of you. And it's the same thing with children of the devil, and that's what the default is actually. If you don't know God, you're automatically a child of the devil, and it's not that the devil makes you do things. It's that you're living your life the way the devil wants, and you are actually close to the devil. You're part of his values. The person embraces the devil's values, which is the values of the world, which is not God's values. Basically, anything that's not God's values. It's not saying that the person's like, oh, I love hate or anything like that. It's more like, hey, I'm gonna live my life for myself, and out of that comes a lot of sin. Or I'm not gonna. I don't really understand the gospel. And because you don't understand the gospel or you don't believe in the gospel, out of that, the person sins. And inadvertently, it comes out that sin. So that's kind of what it means when he's saying, hey, he's making a binary out of, hey, children of God or children of the devil, where we don't really think of it as a binary. But in this case, he's saying it's not a false binary. It really is a binary. It's you either follow God or anything that's not following God is sin, and it will lead to sin. So that's basically the kind of the argument he's making, is that the devil really is kind of involved in this stuff, because the devil is putting his values out there and people are embracing them, right? It's not that the devil is forcing it, but it's people who are, they don't know it's the devil, but they're choosing the ways of the devil, and they have accepted the philosophies of the devil. They've wanting to live for themselves. That's from the devil, right? So they are making their own choices, but they've accepted his philosophies. I think another one of the important points in this passage is also in why did Jesus come to the world? In verse 5, it says, you know that he appeared in order to take away sins, and in him there is no sin. So in this passage, it's saying that the main reason why Jesus came is to take away sins. That's like the main thing there. But in other passages, maybe we say, oh, for God so loved the world that he gave his only son. So Jesus came because God loved. Are those two things incompatible? I would say not, right? Because saving us, in order to save us, you have to save us from something. So I think it's an important part, and sometimes it gets missed when we talk about the gospel. An important part is that you're being saved from something. It's not just, oh, you're being saved, or oh, you're just being healed, or oh, that's what the gospel is it's you're saved from something, and Jesus is coming actually to conquer sin. So his act on the cross, what he did on the cross, actually conquers sin, and it deals with sin, not just like in an abstract way, but it actually is supposed to penetrate your heart so much. The gospel is supposed to penetrate your heart so much that you stop sinning, and therefore sin in the world no longer happens. Sin is conquered in the world. That's what that's Jesus' intention when he died on the cross. And that's the message of the gospel. And that is what will happen eventually in the future, and is happening in our lives if we really know him, and if we really accept it and internalize the gospel. So that's an important point, is that it's not just, oh, the gospel deals with sin on a theoretical level, or deals with the consequences of sin. No, it actually deals with the sin generation. It deals with why do we sin? How do we sin? It deals with all of that. So if we accept Christ and accept the gospel, and we keep on sinning, it shows that something's wrong. It shows that person who keeps on sinning the gospel didn't really penetrate that person's heart. Maybe that person doesn't really understand the gospel. And that's why the sin keeps coming out. And I'm sure you've seen this all the time. Like, if you talk to people and you talk to them intentionally, there are people who've been believers for a long, long time. And then you talk to them, and the way they're living their life is not by the gospel. It seems like the gospel values are not in their hearts yet. There's this one person I know where every single time I talk to that person says, in order for people to love me, in order for me to have any value in life, I need to work at it. I need to have like these credentials. I need to not be seen as a loser. Otherwise people won't like me. Otherwise I'm not valuable, right? So that shows that person, even though they're a Christian, they have not really internalized the gospel fully, because some parts of their heart still react in a certain way. And I think all of us have some of that, but if the gospel is supposed to, the more that we know the gospel, the more that we internalize it, it actually pushes all of that stuff out. So, um, the gospel, that's a lot of where the real power of the gospel is, to change the world. It's not just, oh, we get into heaven. That's not what the gospel is only about. It is about that, but it's also that the gospel, once it goes into your heart and penetrates into your heart, it pushes out so many of the things that causes us to sin. So basically, the application of the passage for this study is that it's, how has the gospel changed your life? How has it gotten into your heart and then penetrated it, and it pushed out other, like, thoughts, other philosophies, other ways of values and living your life? How has the gospel punched in and then pushed out all the other stuff? Maybe it's something about, you used to live your life for success, or you used to really care about accomplishing a lot in the world, and then the gospel comes in and says, Jesus says, I've accomplished everything already. Maybe that's something that has penetrated your heart. Or maybe it's something about, it's about caring about others. It's like, hey, before the gospel, you didn't really care that much about other people. But once the gospel, you see how Jesus loved you, you're like overflowing with love for others. And it pushed out some of the not caring and replaced it with love. That could be another possibility. So that's kind of where the application lands. And yeah, and that's basically the study.